Hey everybody, welcome back to Lifting Explained, and today I'm doing the first program review for the channel. And for the first one, I'm going to be going over Joe Bennett, aka the Hypertrophy Coach, his membership site and program builder. Now for this review, I'm actually breaking it down into 5 categories. They are knowledge, content, design, safety, and value. Alright, so for that first section, the knowledge, when it comes down to it, Coach Bennett knows what he's talking about. He's extremely knowledgeable when it comes to exercise physiology and biomechanics, basically the difference between insertion and origin of the muscle, how muscle contraction works, whether mind-muscle connection is a real thing or not, basic diet and how that works, supplements that you should be taking, how to apply all these basic concepts to hypertrophy and building as much muscle as possible. All the sort of things he knows, and it's evident in all of his videos he's had, not only for his membership site, but also for his YouTube channel and on Instagram as well. But when it comes down to it, the knowledge, Coach Bennett knows what he's talking about. He's talked with some of the biggest names in the industries, from Dave Tate at Elite FTS to pretty much everybody else. They know who he is, that he's talked with as well, shared ideas, shared his knowledge with, gained knowledge from all those people. He knows his stuff. So getting on to the next section here, which is content. So when it comes to his content, it's almost endless. So on his membership site, when you first sign up, you're actually shown a Start Here page, which has about 9 or 10 videos on it, and it's all broken up into a bunch of different things. So the first one is how to get everything out of his membership site and program builder, which is a nice touch. Not a lot of programs actually have that video. Just to briefly mention here right now, I can't actually show you the videos due to copyright rules and laws, but I can show you at least this page on basically what he is providing for you. And then he also has other videos on volume, whether you should train to failure, how to determine which split is right for you, and breaks up each individual split and discussing its advantages and disadvantages, how to read his program structure, how to create a program for yourself. He briefly mentions a bit on progressive overload and mind-muscle connection and some of those things. You know, he also covers exercise selection and how to determine which exercises are best for you in terms of the ones that will give you the most stimulus. And this is actually something he goes into a lot of detail about, the fact that the best exercises are the ones that gives you, not necessarily me or somebody else, but you, the best stimulus. Now, one area that I do want to say is that there should have been, I think, a video on progressive overload. He does mention this a bit in one of his videos, but he doesn't go into it enough detail, I think. Progressive overload is one of those things that you absolutely need for building muscle. So I think it's an extremely important thing, extremely important topic for him to discuss. So having an individual or separate video on this topic, I think, would have been really nice. And I also think he should have had a video on periodization as well. So there's a bunch of different types, from block, undulating, a bunch of other ones that he should have discussed, because that can be tied into splits and how to progress, along with progressive overload and how to use that for volume, and your cycles as well, discussing about macrocycles, microcycles, and mesocycles and all those sort of stuff. He doesn't really talk about that. But when it comes to the membership site, what you're actually paying for, I think this is something that he should have included in the site itself. But besides that, that's pretty much the only feedback I have for him. It's not so much a criticism. It's not something that's absolutely vital to include with membership site. I mean, all the other stuff that he includes is more than enough for you guys to start on your own and know how to build as much muscle and do it all right and everything else. I mean, he's included everything else from warm-ups and activations to correctives to a whole log of exercises that you can do, including demonstrations on how to do it correctly and why he's demonstrating it the way that he does. He even has a forum where he answers questions for members, and he is active in that. Even up to today, he's not behind on that at all. He gets back to you when he can. He even has a couple of team members like Terrence Ruffin who answers for him as well, who's an IFBB pro. So the wealth of knowledge that he has there, and the fact that he's putting out all his content for you, it's really a lot. Okay, on to the next section, which is for the program itself, and that is design. So when you first go into the section with the program builder there, he has a series of questions that he asks you. So I went through each of those questions there as if it was specifically for me. Answered how much sleep I get, the stress of my life. And this is the one that the program kind of created here for me. And it's a push-pull lower split done every 3 days, and then take a rest day, and then repeat the 3 days, and then take a rest day again. So it's actually not something that'll end up being Monday through Saturday, and then you start over again on Monday through Saturday. Your day one will end up becoming a little different each week just because of the way that it's broken up. Now, this isn't something that's bad, it's not that you have to have a specific schedule, like Monday is chest day, I have to do that every single Monday. No, not necessarily. You have a plan, you stick with it, this is what the plan, and if it ends up being on a different day in a different week, that's what ends up being, as long as you're consistent with it, which this program is showing. Now, having said that, the exercises he gave me to do on this, I can't show you again because of copyright laws and rights for him, but the exercises I've shown would be fine for me. I think a lot of them would work. I personally would probably be making a couple substitutions here or there. But because I have the experience and the knowledge and my background and everything, I'm able to make those substitutions properly and know which ones are right and in which areas will give me the best stimulus. But for somebody who maybe not have quite the same background, they'll follow the exact program that gives, which is fine. I think a lot of times it will work for people. But the problem is that it's not necessarily individualistic, this program that he gave out. It's still kind of a cookie cutter type of program. Not to say that's a bad thing necessarily, because his design that he puts in is fine. I think it would be quite effective for most people. But again, where substitutions will be made, like in that Start Here page, he talks about in one of the videos the importance of finding the right exercise for you that will provide the most stimulus for you. But then he gives you a program builder here where he determines the exercises for you, so you kind of have to guess where your substitutions will be, you'll need to make. And some people may not necessarily know that the best. So, this is one caveat I have personally when it comes to a lot of these programs that you just buy that are pre-made, because they're not tailored specifically for the individual, which is a lot of times when online coaching, which is individuals, is oftentimes the better route for people instead of just a program builder like this. The program itself is fine. Again, not necessarily tailored towards those who are beginners, but those who are intermediate, or especially those who are advanced, I think will, get a lot out of this, will find success with it, especially if they have a lot of good knowledge in where substitutions need to be made for themselves and the exercises that might work best for them, which ones necessarily won't, and where to make those changes. Now, on to the next session, the fourth one, which is safety. The program itself is perfectly safe. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing dangerous out of it. Again, like I mentioned briefly in the last section there with beginners, I don't think beginners should be doing it. For them, it could be a little bit too much. But for somebody who's intermediate, especially somebody who's advanced, it would be fine. You won't get any issues out of this. One thing to say, though, is if you lift weights, you're going to get injured. That's just a fact. There's no such thing as injury prevention. So no matter how good your technique is, how good the program is, how well it's designed, how logical it is, you're going to get injured at some point. It just happens. Coach Bennett himself has gotten injured plenty of times. Everybody does. But his program designed is safe overall. If you do get injured, you're not going to get to the point where it's going to be really severe unless you do something really stupid or go out of the parameters of the program that he has here, or everything that he's talked about and all that other content that he has. So, but other than that, it's perfectly safe. You'll be fine with it. It's not really a concern that I can see with it. The exercises he's shown are perfectly fine as well. The technique he explains for each is perfectly fine. It's well done. In fact, there's some exercises that he's shown that I haven't actually done in a specific way. He shows a technique that I haven't done, and I tried them out and actually liked them better than what I was doing and found them to be not only more effective for me or providing greater stimulus, but actually friendlier to my joints and less likely to cause injury in any of my joints or any of my muscles itself. So, with tying in with that first section, his knowledge that he has on biomechanics and exercise physiology and everything else, he's been able to put together, his program here online that is sound in terms of safety, and you shouldn't have an issue with that. And now getting on to the last section here, which is value. Value, I would put at actually very, very high, just because of the sheer amount of content that he has put up on his membership site. His website right now costs basically $10 a month, and for that, that's not a whole lot of money, and for that, you're getting quite a lot. You're getting all those videos on a Start Here page. You're getting all of those exercise demonstrations, his recommendations for supplements, and all these different sections that he has, videos and content, and his own personal training logs, the forums that he personally answers questions for you and has some other team members answer for. He's giving a lot for your money for $10 a month. He even gives you a free trial for a week to try it out if you want to. So, you can get a lot out of it for just 1 month, for just $10. So I think the value here is really tremendous. And then you add in all his videos from YouTube and on Instagram, and he's just providing you with just so much that you can take and learn from. So wrapping everything up into these individual sections here. So I'm going to grade each one on a scale here of 1 to 10 with a final score out of 50. So for the first one here, knowledge, that's a 10 out of 10. There's no denying that Coach Bennett is knowledgeable. It's a 10 out of 10. Enough said right there. Next one would be content. That one is 9 out of 10. I think the content, the sheer amount of it is amazing what he provides. But again, there's a couple things that I do think he was missing, such as going into detail about progressive overload and periodization, as well as videos for beginners and stuff like that. So I think you should be including that. But other than that, 9 out of 10 for this. Then on to design of the program. That one I'm gonna put at a 8 out of 10. The design itself is sound. It's great. I think it's going to be successful for everybody else, but again, it's not so much beginner friendly. And there's not necessarily something specifically special about it that honestly kind of makes me question a little bit sometimes exactly what I'm paying the $10 for, when there's a lot of programs out there for free that give kind of a similar template and similar exercises. So I think when it comes down to it, I think there's a few things missing, a few things that he could have done, I think, a little bit better, maybe tailored a little bit more individualistic towards each of his members. Then getting on to safety, which I think is a 10 out of 10. There's nothing wrong with the programs that he's showing, the information that he provides. Again, tying with that knowledge, he knows what he's talking about. He's not going to do anything or say anything on there that's going to be dangerous or something that you shouldn't be doing. The program itself that he shows, the exercise and everything, those we're perfectly fine. Again, if it is somebody who's a beginner, again, I think it's maybe not the best approach. But other than that, perfectly safe. And then getting on to the last section, value, I think that one is a 9 out of 10, taking 1 point off just because it is missing a little bit of those couple videos that I mentioned before, and needs a section for beginners, and also because while I'm clearly paying $10 isn't that much. You're paying for all this knowledge that he has and access to asking him questions and all that stuff. The program itself, though, is what I'm taking a point off for because, like I said, I can go to a site like T-Nation, get a very similar program that they've published in an article for free. With that said, that's my thoughts on Joe Bennett's Hypertrophy Coach program there on his membership website. I think it's overall really, really great website, really great membership site. Definitely recommend it. It gets my seal of approval. Definitely give it a shot. Try it out for a week. Pay the $10 if you want for a month. Go for it. I think, definitely recommend it. You'll definitely find a lot of great success out of it. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed that review for today. That's the first one for the channel. If there's any other specific program that you want me to cover, any person like Athlete X or Jeff Nippert, if you want me to go over any of those, comment down below in the description, and I will see you next time.